All right, guys, so now that I am wrapping up the kind of renovation of the shop space itself here, I figured I'd go ahead and do a quick video on how much this whole place has cost me. I know I got a lot of questions towards the beginning of this series about how much the building costs, how I found the building, all that kind of stuff. So I figured I'd go over it real quick. I went ahead and made a list of pretty much all of the costs that I could remember, that I could think of. And I think it's pretty accurate, at least, within 10% or so, I'd guess. So I guess starting at the beginning, I purchased this building. If you guys have been following me for a while, you'll know that I was renting my previous shop space. We did a lot of renovation work there as well, but I always just felt uncomfortable having a rental because, at any given moment, the landlords there could have kicked me out and I would have been without a shop space and without a business. So I wasn't really specifically looking to buy a building, but my wife and I happened to be across the street here at this awesome little bakery getting some cinnamon rolls, and I saw a little for sale by owner sign, and this building looked pretty interesting, so I figured I'd call the owner. And after talking to him, it seemed like a pretty perfect space. So let me just give you some of the stats of the building. The footprint is about 3,900 square feet. 1,000 square feet of that has been converted to a living space, again by the previous owner, and that's what I'm using as my office space. And then on this main level, there's also that addition, which is another about 600 or 700 square feet. But the real, I think, kind of cool potential of this building is on the second floor, that unfinished attic space, which is another, 38 or 3,900 square feet that I could kind of do whatever I wanted to with. Once I decided to buy the building, we did some haggling to get the price down, and I ended up purchasing the building for $370,000, which I think for this space, for a commercial building here in Asheville, is a pretty good bargain. But obviously after purchasing the building, the real work began because this building was obviously not in great shape. The previous owner left a bunch of junk behind that I had to deal with, and so some of those next costs were just the cost of removing some of that stuff. Had to rent a couple of roll-off dumpsters. Those were $300 each, and then I also paid to have all of the old ratty insulation removed so that I could kind of start fresh because I knew I'd need to be gutting all of the electrical work anyway, and the insulation removal was $2,000. Once I got some of that cleanup work done, I worked with a structural engineer to figure out this kind of right sidewall because, as you might remember, that concrete block was definitely bowing in a bit. At some point in the building's history, they had built these support braces which weren't really doing anything, and so I wanted to make sure to get that dealt with before moving on with the renovation. So the structural engineer charged $900 to work up this set of recommended plans for what I needed to do to brace that whole wall, and a big part of that was dropping down those ceiling joists in that weird kind of mezzanine area, which would help to strengthen the top half of that wall. And I did all of that work with the guys from the Perkins Builder Brothers crew, and I paid about $1,000 in labor, and thankfully we were able to reuse all of the materials that we had torn out, and so the material costs were basically zero. The next thing I attempted before getting all of these walls covered up was waterproofing these concrete block walls, which was really kind of a fool's errand. Spent about $250 on waterproofing supplies, dry lock, hydraulic cement, all that kind of stuff, and it didn't really work. So the only thing that significantly impacted the amount of water trying to come in here was doing all of the grading work, which I'll talk about a little later. With all that done, we can move on to framing the exterior walls. And again, this was based on the recommendations by that structural engineer. We framed these exterior walls with 2x6s, pressure treated 2x6s. Those cost about $2,100. And then we also closed in the window openings, which were extremely janky. And thankfully, all of the material for that I brought over from the old shop. And you'll hear me mention that multiple times throughout here. I saved quite a bit of money just by tearing out that material from the old shop and repurposing it here at the new shop. We also framed out the CNC room, and again, all of the 2x4s for that came from the old shop. Next up was the work platform, which I'm standing on right now, and the costs there were about $800 for the treated 2x4s, which I used for the, floor joists. Then the Advantech, which is the sheathing here, would have been $1,800, but the folks at Huber Engineered Wood were awesome enough to provide that, so that was great. And then the labor for the work platform and the wall framing combined was, again, about $1,000 with the Perkins Builder Brothers crew. Next up was the structural reinforcement, which included adding all of that steel C-channel to the walls. And again, that was recommended by the structural engineer. And the steel C-channel and the angle iron we used cost about $2,200. The metal primer cost about $50. Had a whole bunch of wedge anchor bolts, which connected the steel to the slab. Those were $160. And then a whole bunch of lag screws, which connected the steel to the floor joist, the floor system above. That was $190. And then labor for that, it was only about 2 days of work. So that was about $600. While I'm working, let's take a second to talk about the sponsor of this week's video, Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep offers premium mattresses, customized to fit your needs, and best of all, they're conveniently shipped to your door. To get started, I took Helix's sleep quiz, which matches you to the perfect mattress based on your body type and sleep preferences. I'm a back and side sleeper who prefers a medium firmness, and I got matched with Helix's Midnight mattress. I also decided to add the Glaciotech cooling cover, which helps keep you cool and comfortable while you sleep. So Helix delivers your mattress right to your door with free shipping in the US, and the mattress comes rolled up in a box. And as you can see, after unboxing, the mattresses were super easy to set up. I've had these Helix Midnight mattresses for a little over a month now and absolutely love them. They're just the right firmness for me, and the Glaciotech cover has kept me feeling nice and cool. We actually got these mattresses for the guest bedroom in the not-so-tiny house, and after sleeping out there for a few nights to test out the mattresses, I'm happy to know our guests will be sleeping in comfort. If you're hesitant to order a mattress online, rest easy, no pun intended, as Helix offers a 100-night sleep trial to test the mattress out and ensure you love it. And if you don't like it, they'll pick it up for you and you'll get a refund. Helix mattresses also include a 10-year warranty, and they offer financing options and flexible payment plans if that's something you're interested in. To learn more about Helix Sleep, visit helixsleep.com/craftedworkshop to get 20% off your Helix mattress plus 2 free pillows. Thanks again to Helix Sleep for sponsoring this week's video, and let's get back to work. With that, all of the framing work was done, so I could finally get this place insulated, get it nice and cool or warm in here, depending on the season. And this was definitely my biggest cost to date, besides obviously buying the building. The insulation for the 1.5 inches of closed cell spray foam in these exterior walls, the R30 insulation in the ceiling, and then the about 3 inches of closed cell spray foam in the addition area. The grand total was $10,300, and that one definitely hurt, but it is incredibly comfortable in here. It is about 78 degrees outside right now, and I almost feel like I need a jacket on in here. This building is kind of half below grade, and it stays really nice and comfortable in here. After getting the insulation installed, I went ahead and installed some mini split units from Mr. Cool, and those were again provided, which was awesome because otherwise they would have cost about $5,000. That said, they definitely weren't free to install though, because I still had to buy a whole bunch of electrical wiring and conduit to run the power all the way out from basically one corner of the building to the opposite corner to get power to that outdoor unit, and that totaled about $1,000, surprisingly. That being said, I had a lot of wire left over, which I ended up using later in the electrical work, and that was kind of one of the running themes here. I bought things in bulk when I could because I knew even though it would cost more up front, it would save me a lot of money in the long run. Once that was done, we could go ahead and get all of these walls covered up. And once again, I was able to repurpose so much of that plywood that I had brought over from the old shop. That saved me a ton of money, and I only ended up spending about $550 on the remaining plywood I needed to fully finish out the walls in this space. Thanks for all the help. I also spent about $250 on drywall because, as you might remember, I did a layer of drywall and then a layer of plywood on both the CNC room and the dust collection closet to hopefully help with soundproofing, which we'll still, I guess, find that out in a bit. And then the last two things were trim and paint. And once again, I was able to repurpose a lot of the trim from the old shop. So I think I only had to buy like 1 or 2 pieces of trim, so about $30 for that. And then the paint, I went with some pretty cheap paint. I went with this Valspar PVA primer and Valspar 2000 paint. They both went on great. They seem to be holding up fine so far, and that in total was about $400, and I sprayed like 15 or 20 gallons of paint. So definitely wanted to go with the budget option there because otherwise I would have spent a fortune on paint. From there, the interior of the space was looking pretty good, so I decided to go ahead and move outside and started with that grading work, which obviously was really, really important. The grading on this property was terrible. It was funneling all of that water basically right towards that right exterior wall, which ended up pushing a lot of that water inside the shop. So I ended up renting an excavator and a mini skid steer from Sunbelt Rentals. I'm working on them with some sponsored content, so they ended up comping those rentals, which was awesome because otherwise I think it would have been about $2,000 to rent those machines for the 2 weeks I had them. And the only other real cost with the grading work was the erosion control blankets, basically to keep all of that dirt from washing away, and those were $100. Continuing on with the outside of the shop, next was the big porch project, which was obviously a pretty huge undertaking, but I think it made the outside of the shop building look like 100 times better. And it also helps to keep a bunch of the weather off of the garage doors and the windows and the entry doors on the front of the building. So the cost for the porch included $150 of rebar to reinforce the footings, about $700 of concrete for the footings themselves. The lumber would have been about $1,200, but as you might remember, I worked with the folks at Yellowwood on that project, so they provided that, which was awesome. The hardware, just like the post base brackets and the hurricane ties, those all really added up. I think I spent around $300 on all of that hardware. And then the metal roofing, which I got from the folks at Best Buy Metals, again, they provided that, which was awesome, would have cost me about $1,000. Once the porch was wrapped up, I moved back inside and got started on the electrical work, which was probably the second most expensive thing I've done in here, but I think it also saved me probably more than any of the other work I've done, because electrical work, if you've ever paid for it, is incredibly expensive. For example, just to rough in the tiny house, not including making up any of the outlet boxes or anything like that, was I think around $4,000, and that's a 640 square foot building in this 2,800 square foot space. I can't even begin to imagine how much the electrical would have cost me, but I spent about $1,500 on wiring, which was obviously a lot, but I have a ton left over for future projects. Obviously, I will be doing a lot of work up in the attic space. I spent about $300 on outlet boxes and metal conduit, about $200 on fittings, $200 on receptacles, the outlets themselves, about $250 on Wago connectors and other odds and ends, and then about $200 on new tools, new conduit benders, those automatic wire strippers, and those things really paid for themselves during that big electrical project. Next on the list, and another one of the things that I think had one of the bigger visual impacts in this space, was the drop ceiling. So I worked with the folks from Armstrong Ceilings on that, which was awesome because the drop ceiling tiles themselves would have cost me about $7,000. Then the ceiling grid system would have cost about $2,800, so about $10,000 for this space. But when you break that down as a price per square foot, let's do some quick math. $10,000 divided by 2,800 square feet, you're still at only $3.50 a square foot, which in my opinion is very competitive for this kind of ceiling. If you were to have drywall professionally installed, I'm sure it would cost easily that much, probably close to twice that much. Anyway, there were some other various costs with the drop ceiling installation, including those lag screws, the specialty bits, some of the little odds and ends, the tools, the 2x6s, where we had to sandwich these metal beams, and those totaled up to about $250. And then the LED troffer lights, which were provided by 1000bulbs.com, would have cost about $4,000. And again, that was a huge cost savings, and I think it looks amazing in here. Really bright, they look great, they're incredibly energy efficient. So if you're going with a drop ceiling, I cannot recommend LED troffer lights enough. And then the last bit of ceiling cost was that plywood above the garage doors in the front area. That was about $200. And then obviously I had some labor costs since I had some of the guys from the Perkins Builder Brothers helping me out with that. And I spent about $1,000 on labor for the drop ceiling as well. Next up was the garage doors, and obviously they have made a huge difference in this space. It's so much easier to get in and out with my truck. It's much quieter, it's much better insulated, but they were pretty costly. Thankfully, again, I worked with Wayne Dalton on that one, so for both doors would have cost about $9,000, and that includes installation. So definitely not cheap, but it's one of those things that gets usage every single day, so I think it is worth it in the long run for sure. And then the last thing I've done since that garage door video was get a lot of the final painting work done. I painted these beams. I used that Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal primer again, and I think it looks super cool. Then I also painted this curved wall to get that all one color with the rest of the shop. So all in all, my grand total out of pocket was just at $30,000, which is obviously a pretty significant expense, but the total for the materials I had provided to me was also about $30,000, $34,000 to be exact. So my out of pocket expense would have been $64,000 if I didn't make YouTube videos for a living, just to give you an idea of how much this would cost you. That being said, I think this was a great investment. I'm sure the property value with all the improvements I've made in this space would easily outweigh the cost that I sunk into this place, and I'm pretty sure I could turn around and sell this building for at least, 20 or 30% more than what I bought it for, even after less than 2 years of owning this place. So hopefully that was helpful. If you guys have any more questions about any of the specifics of this build out, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If it's your first time here, go ahead and get subscribed and ring the notification bell so you don't miss my future videos. Also, I have links to all the tools, materials I talked about, as well as the playlist for this whole renovation series down in the video description. And last, if you want to support me, I sell merch. I have plans available for a lot of my woodworking projects, and I have both Patreon and YouTube members set up in case you guys want to check that out. All right, thanks for watching, y'all, and until next time, happy building.